Let's just start off this show talking about what I think is the most important yet under-discussed part of this Michigan football offseason with an eye to the season which is underway in little over a week. It's the Michigan football defense, and I will kind of jump into that. But before we do, I just want to ask you guys to like the video. We like to get every show rolling and rocking with likes, so YouTube says, whoa, we should show this to more Michigan football fans. So let's get us to 100 likes ASAP. If you could just hit that like button for us, then continue watching the show. As I mentioned off the top, here's what I want to talk about. The Michigan defense. What a great defense they were for much of last year. We saw things a little bit here and there. The Illinois game, they're ripping off a few running plays here and there. Okay, Michigan's they're bending but not breaking. Ohio State, okay, Coleridge Stroud throws for 350 yards, but they're wasted yards. They're not really meaning anything. Michigan gives them anything, underneath, inside the 20, in between the 20s. Then when you get inside the 20, is locked down, attack the quarterback, don't give up scores, only 3 points in the second half. But when we think about the TCU game and then back it up one more game to the Purdue game, there were some trends that I just didn't like what I saw. To me, as it says on the screen there, Michigan's defense is under the microscope because of their performance against TCU and, in some regards, Purdue. And I think because of how many starters they've got returning, all the talent on the defensive line, the two deep at linebacker, Will Johnson, and Makari Page, and Mike Sainristil, and so many other players coming back on this defense that people just think, this is going to be one of the best defenses in the country. It definitely could be, but there have been some chinks in the armor over the last two seasons, especially the college football playoff that I would like to talk about today. If you haven't yet, make sure you are following the Michigan Football Report on Instagram. We relaunched on Instagram about 3 or 4 months ago. Had an account from 2018-19 season that got up to like 5,000 subscribers or followers, but I was inactive for a while. I guess they sent me emails saying that I got to stay active. I never did it, so I just canceled the account. But I got the handle back. Nobody stole it. So make sure you guys follow us. If you're watching live, it is in the live chat or down in the comments in the description of today's video at Michigan Football Report. And one day a week, I think this year, I'm going to make the account private for a day, put up some inside information. So you don't want to miss that. Just press follow at Michigan Football Report on Instagram. How about Aiden O'Connell? Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. And why is AOC in the news right now? It's not because of anything in Washington, Jack. It's because of something in Las Vegas. AOC, Aiden O'Connell, the backup quarterback now with the Raiders, making a big splash in preseason. He put up 366 yards against Michigan. And if it wasn't for Will Johnson's 2 interceptions, that Big Ten championship game could have been a different story. How about the wide receiver for Purdue, Charlie Jones? Maybe I blacked it out. I just don't remember him having this high stats. I know they put out a lot of wasted yards Purdue did that didn't really accomplish much, didn't really score many points, but 13 catches for Charlie Jones, 162 catches, didn't get in the end zone though, needed an AOC. He had 2 interceptions, both by Will Johnson. Let's fast forward to the TCU game. Now, their starting running back got hurt during the game. He came in a little hobbled, TCU's, and he got hurt. So if you're Michigan, you're thinking good, et cetera, et cetera. They've got a Heisman Trophy finalist quarterback. Their starting running back is out, Kendre Miller. But then you got Amari DeMercado, the backup running back. He dropped 150 on 117 carries, 8.8 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Did we all forget that Michigan gave up 150 yards to the backup TCU running back? Right? This isn't Donovan Edwards. This is TCU's backup running back. Not to mention, first-round wide receiver, Quentin Johnson. Maybe the play of the day, 3rd and 7. They went underneath to Quentin Johnson, just kind of going left to right to the top to the bottom of your screen, streaking across, caught the ball about 4 or 5 yards short of the first on 3rd and 7. Towards the start of the 10, 12 minutes left in the game, fourth quarter, Michigan down by less than the score, and DJ Turner missed the tackle. He took the wrong angle. He cut in, and Quentin Johnson cut outside. He went 70 yards, 69, 70 yards for the score, gave up 163 yards to really the guy outside of Max Duggan, the quarterback, Heisman finalist, that you absolutely had to stop. He made the play of the game. I hope, folks, that this TCU game is still on the minds of this defense, this defensive coaching staff, Jim Harbaugh, everybody in that building for Michigan, because we have seen with this program, Jim Harbaugh in particular, not maybe in the last 2 years, but where they have just gotten cocky and not prepared and kind of forgot about the past. And they took the TCU game a little too lightly. They thought they're going to play the Georgia-Ohio State winner. We don't have to prepare for this. This is TCU. This isn't Texas. This isn't Oklahoma. And Jack and I went to TCU Media Day at the College Football National Championship game 2 days before the game on Saturday morning. And I asked both players who had a pick six on J.J. McCarthy, well, how'd you know? How'd you get that play? Tell me about that play. It's like, they didn't do anything different. This is the same plays they ran all year. The second my guy lined up, wherever he lined up, I didn't really go back and watch the film. He's like, I knew where they were going to him. So I just literally waited for the quarterback to stop his feet, turn his shoulders. I broke on the ball. Both players independently basically said the same exact thing. I think we have those videos somewhere. We should put those up. I never did because we ended up having the Desmond Howard interview, if you remember, Jack. So I think Michigan needs to have that on their mind. This defense, folks, it has the OSU blueprint. Michigan has figured out with two different defensive coordinators, Mike McDonald and then now Jesse Minter, how to beat Ohio State, how to limit an Ohio State offense that just thrashed Michigan for years and years, especially under Don Brown in 2018, 2019. Didn't get a chance to give up 70 in 2020. They've got the OSU blueprint, but maybe that's why you've got beat Georgia period here. So I think it's the biggest storyline of this season. Can Michigan go to the college football playoff and play a team from another conference, a USC? Okay, maybe Oklahoma, maybe they'll come back here. Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, Clemson, one of these teams, LSU, and not give up 45 points, not give up 51, not be down 34-3 in the third quarter like they were to Georgia. Georgia could have scored 50 on them as well. That is the biggest story for me this season. But let's get into my fact or fiction. First question, fact or fiction? You guys can start answering in the live chat. Get it down in the comments. You can ask for any one of these. And we'll put them up at the end of the segment as well, so you can have all five and answer at once if you'd like. Edwards and Corum, Donovan Edwards, and Blake Corum both have 1,000 yards rushing. My thoughts? Well, they came pretty damn close last year. Now, I don't necessarily think that Michigan's going to, I don't want to say get lucky. It's lucky but unlucky. But both guys had their opportunity to shine as the starter. Hawaii game, Donovan Edwards gets hurt. He's out for 3 or 4 games. They go heavy on Corum. They're both playing against Penn State. We saw what happened there. Both had over 160 yards. I think 2 touchdowns for one touchdown for the other. They absolutely tore up Penn State. Then he had a couple injuries. Donovan Edwards is hurt, right? Second half versus Illinois, Michigan has no offense. They got to rely on Isaiah Gash. Then it's the Don with 500-plus yards in the last 3 games, 200 versus Ohio State, 150 or so Purdue, 125, etc. against TCU. Donovan Edwards was 9 yards short of being a 1,000-yard back last year, not to mention the talent that he has coming back on offensive line and this Michigan football offense this year. So my fact or fiction on this, I say fact. Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum will both have over 1,000 yards in the 2023 Michigan football season. As you see on the screen there, 140 carries for the Don, 247 for Blake Corum. They've really got to reduce the amount of carries that Blake Corum has this year. He went a 5-6 game stretch there in the middle of the season, over 22, 23, up to 30, 31, 33 carries when the Don was hurt, and Michigan really needed that running attack to take off. Donovan Edwards led college football with 7.1 yards per carry last year. I expect him to maybe come down a little bit more this year with a bigger workload and maybe not breaking off 75 and 85 yards every time he touches the ball like he did against Ohio State. But that is the stats. I expect them to both have a nice level up coming into 2023. Will Michigan make the college football playoff? This isn't one of my fact or fictions. This is what I want to ask to the audience. So go ahead and answer down in the comments or in the live chat. I see you in the live chat, Mike K. We'll get to your question here in a second. Appreciate the $2 super chat. Let me know what you guys think. Will Michigan make the college football playoff for the 3rd year in a row? Fun fact. I think this was known, but maybe not as talked about. The Big Ten East last year, Michigan, Ohio State, first division in college football to have 2 teams make the CFP in the same year. Clearly, Alabama's done it before. Alabama, Georgia, the SEC, but they're in different divisions. The Big Ten East, first division ever to have 2 teams in the CFP. Got a lot of yeses coming in there. Mike K. also saying that J.J. will have 3,000 yards passing, which I think is kind of like the minimum Michigan has to have to think, can this offense and this offensive philosophy game plan be strong enough and advanced enough to win a game against an Alabama, a Georgia, an LSU, hell, even a TCU. More Michigan football fact or fiction with your host, James Yoder. I got Jack Latteray, a.k.a. Young Harbaugh, on the ones and twos on behind the production desk, getting things rolling for us. Next fact or fiction. Will. It's tough to ask a question with his name, Jack, because his name is Will Johnson have 6 interceptions. So 6 interceptions this season for Michigan's AP second team All-American in the preseason, Will Johnson. He had 3 picks last year, and they all came towards the end of the year really he became a starter after the Michigan State game. So starting in November, he got 3 games in November, 4 games, then the Big Ten championship game, then the game against TCU, which he was ultimately hurt. 2 tackles for loss, 27 tackles, 6 pass breakups. The 2 picks against Purdue maybe, showed what he can do when the ball comes towards him. DJ Turner on the opposite side, but he's been limited this entire offseason. He got hurt, and it was really underreported until he didn't show up at spring ball, Will Johnson, and he's sat out the last 2 padded scrimmages, right? August 12th, August 19th. What's going to happen this coming week? If he is not in the lineup with the ones on Monday, which I should get a report coming up Monday, Tuesday of this week on who was in the lineup, who maybe was still hampered, a lot of injuries on the wide receiver side of things. If he's not there, I think maybe Michigan could be doing some load management, potentially keep him out of the first 1, 2, 3 games. I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. The college football world gets going this weekend. As I mentioned, Notre Dame, USC, is a bunch of other games. Brady Hoke's coaching the game against Ohio. Maybe he'll get another win like he did back in 2011. BetUS is our preferred sportsbook partner. If you want to get going, bet some sports this year, make some money on Michigan football, go to chatsports.com/GoBlue. The link is down in the bottom of the screen you see right there, chatsports.com/GoBlue. Type it into your browser. When you make your first deposit, use promo code GoBlue, no spaces, 125% deposit bonus. I got Jack in my ear saying, James, it's in the live chat. Don't forget to tell him about the jersey deal. Boom! Free jersey deal that's going to go on for the next few weeks. So you put $100 in, let's just say, or $200. You get your deposit bonus, 125%. So put in $100, extra $125. Put in $200, extra $250. You make your first bet. As long as you use the promo code GoBlue. It's so vital that you use the promo code, go to the link, because if not, you won't show up in our report, and then it's just a customer service headache. Make your first bet. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com. If you can send us a screenshot of your bet, that kind of eliminates a step of verification. Once you do that, we'll get your size, we'll get your address, we'll ship one off to you. Come to us for the jersey. We're fulfilling them. We've got a big boatload of jerseys sitting back on Jack's desk, ready to ship out. Chatsports.com/GoBlue. Get started with BetUS. Put in at least $100, make your first bet, get a free Michigan football jersey, the #1 jersey here from Chat Sports. Got to be a new customer though, so if you've started with BetUS in the past, enjoy. You've got your winnings, from last year and your bonus last year. This is for new customers. Chatsports.com/GoBlue. Will teams even target Will Johnson, let alone if he's going to play early on? And if Michigan's blowing out a lot of teams, which they should in their first 8, 9, 10 games of the year, he might be sitting out in the second half a lot, given the stature of his talent, not wanting to risk injury. But will teams, what they saw against Purdue and Ohio State when he's on Marvin Harrison Jr. and TCU at times, will they even throw the ball at him? He could be, they say water covers 70% of the earth. Will Johnson covers the other 30%. I think the thing that's holding him back from having 6 interceptions this year, load management potentially, not playing a ton early on. But it could just be that nobody throws the ball at him because he's so damn good, and he might just intercept every single ball that's thrown at him. So Will Johnson have 6 interceptions? I'm saying fiction on this one. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not because of lack of talent. It's not because of scheme or anything like that. I just don't think that the other team is going to throw enough passes his direction for him to have 6 interceptions on this season. Next one up. Will this team score more than 566 points on offense? You might not know this, Jack. You might not know this, audience. 566 was the number that this team scored on offense last season, which was a program record. Now, this is only the second time in program history they played 14 games. They had a little bit of a nudge up, but still as a points per game, I think it was second all time at 40.4 points per game regardless. So that is the question that I am going to dissect in a moment. But I want to remind you guys, next Saturday, 11:15 Eastern, the game is on the Peacock Network. Jack and I, Young Harbaugh, we will be live 11:15 Eastern on this YouTube channel. Camera on me. We're going to have the scoreboard, the stats, a very nice production. You're not going to see the actual highlights. We're not going to get copyright infringement and get the channel shut down. But, it's going to be a very slanted, non-Michigan focused broadcast. So mute the game. Make sure we're synced up. Watch us on your iPhone, iPad, computer. Have the game on your TV if you want. Or if you don't have Peacock and want to just have a nice kind of radio-style experience with me, with other graphics, that is the place. Next Saturday, September 2nd, 11:15, we will be live throughout the entire game. 45 minutes prior, the entire game, with really nice production. And then after the game, we will take your questions. I'll have my instant reactions and players of the game and all that stuff the moment that the game is over. That offense is pretty damn good last year, right? 459 yards per game. 40.4 points per game scored, 220 yards passing. And then what I think is the best rushing attack in college football, 239 yards per game. That was number 5 statistically for Michigan. Number 1 total points in program history last year. Will they beat that in 2023? I'm saying fact. I'm saying this is the best 2-year stretch of offense in program history. And you can go back and say 2003 with John Navarre coming back for senior year, and Braylon Edwards, and Chris Perry, who won the Doak Walker, and Braylon won the Biletnikoff the next year. You might even want to say 2006 or 2007 with Chad Henne, Jake Long, Mike Hart, Steve Breston in 06, and then Mario Manningham, Adrian Arrington taking the reins in 2007. As more talented offenses, more stars, maybe more firepower at the offensive, at the wide receiver position. But I think this offensive line is better than any of those. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to prove out to be a better quarterback than Navarre or Chad Henne. And I certainly think that the running back combo of Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards is the best that Michigan's seen in modern football era. If we just talk about the last 35, 40 years, you might go back and say Tumunga Biaka-Patuka and Tyrone Wheatley in 94. You can make a good argument with that. But I'm saying fact, this team will get done. I'm calling for 600 points or more from this offense. Will the Wolverines offensive line win a 3rd straight Joe Moore Award? People didn't think they're going to win it last year because, you don't give these awards away to the same player or the same team too often. Like, when's the last time someone won, AP Coach of the Year back-to-back years? I don't think it's ever happened. When's the time someone's won the Biletnikoff, the Doak Walker? Well, very rarely, if ever, that's happened in college football. So Michigan winning the Joe Moore Award for the 2nd straight year was a big deal. With this depth chart, right, I think that Michigan can realistically say they've got 8 guys that could start for almost any team at some position in college football. That's the 5 stars at the top: Ladarius Henderson, Trevor Keegan, Drake Nugent, Zach Sinter, and Carson Barnhart. But I also think Miles Hinton, he started for Stanford last year. Giovanni El-Hadi, he was started for Michigan at stretches last year. And then I think Trente Jones was also a starter for Michigan right off the start of the season last year. Now, I think he struggled at times, and that's why he lost his spot after injury. But Michigan's got at least 8 guys that could start for almost any college, if not every college football team in the program. But let's not forget that these new guys, the 3 new guys in particular, Miles Hinton, Drake Nugent, they didn't play in the spring game, right? They were limited by injuries. They were at Michigan, but didn't play. They were participants in spring, but either got injured or were held out of the spring game, weren't running with the ones then. And we know Miles Hinton's not really going to be running with the ones. He's probably Michigan's 6th or 7th lineman at this time. But then Ladarius Henderson, he had to finish school at Arizona State to graduate to be able to transfer a second time. He's already transferred once, I believe, after his freshman year, looking back. But he's only been on campus with Michigan for about 2.5 months since second week of June. So that is something that holds me back from thinking instantly that this offensive line is just going to be better than the group that won the Joe Moore Award the last 2 years. So a 3rd straight Joe Moore Award for this Michigan football team. Based on those factors, I'm going to say fiction. One note, if you saw our show on Tuesday, a lot of chatter, even more deafening chatter, and if we get it definitive next week when they're in the ones, we'll change that offensive depth chart, that Carson Barnhart may have played so well that he is in the more desired tackle position. He's moved to left tackle. Ladarius Henderson, he might be over there at right tackle. Let me know if you guys think Ohio State will be taken to the woodshed by Michigan again. Will Michigan beat Ohio State again? Fact or fiction, Michigan will beat Ohio State again. That's the question. I should phrase it properly. Michigan will beat Ohio State again. Fact or fiction? Before I give you my analysis, let's make sure we don't forget what got us here. January 2020, I was so fed up with the loss to Alabama. Prior to that, I lost to Florida in the bowl games 2 years in a row. 2 straight blowout losses to Ohio State, giving up 62 and 56 points. We came up with this slogan in 2020, a presidential election year. Not getting political here, but may beat Ohio State again. Make America great. It's a little kind of thing like that. This one's been a lot more successful than the other one. Bosa, Ohio State has not beat Michigan since this slogan came out in January of 2020, and I don't think it's going to happen again because, fact or fiction, there's no answer. The only answer is Bosa. I think Michigan's going to get the win this year against Ohio State again. And look, Ohio State is more talented than Michigan is at the top level talent. I think Michigan's deeper, but Ohio State has 2 potential first-round guys on the outside in their defense. They've got maybe 3 or 4 potential first-round, even 2 top 10 picks at wide receiver. We'll see what happens to the quarterback position. I think they're going to be fine there regardless. They've got 2 first-round guys, maybe this next draft, and their offensive line. Michigan's got a lot of that too, okay? But Ohio State, Travion Henderson, didn't even mention him, etc. Could be a first-round running back. I've seen mock drafts with 8 different Ohio State players for next year's draft. So Ohio State is the higher top-end talent. Michigan's got their number. They've got him going on up here. The game is in Ann Arbor. Michigan's returning a starting quarterback, and they have the blueprint to beat Ohio State again. So fact or fiction on that one, I'm just going Bosa. Let's recap here. If you guys want, you can just if you're in the comments on the on-demand video, just give me number 1 and give me your answers. I'll be in there replying to you when this goes out on demand. So let me know what you guys think on those 5 questions. It's 2,000-yard running backs. I say fact. 6 interceptions for Will Johnson. I'm saying fiction. 566 points or more, school record. Fact, 3rd straight Joe Moore award. I'm going to go fiction on that one. And then beat Ohio State again. I'm just going Bosa. Give me your answers on all 5 of those comments. Let me know what you guys think on the 2023 Michigan football team, fact or fiction.